Are there words about a pandemic at this point?
No, we're not at all, and we have it totally under control.
We think we have it very well under control. We pretty much shut it down. It's going to disappear. One day, it's like a miracle, it will disappear. We can hold that down, as we're saying, to 100,000. It's a horrible number. We all together have done a very good job.
As the nation surpassed 4 million COVID cases and over 145,000 deaths this week.
It's something that we have tremendous control of. I think we're going to win faster than people think, I hope.
You're going to lose a number of people to the flu, but you're going to lose more people by putting a country into a massive recession or depression. The virus is going to disappear. I feel about vaccines like I feel about tests. This is going to go away without a vaccine.
The coronavirus itself, SARS-CoV-2, is here to stay.
As the U.S. surpasses a staggering 400,000 deaths, the incoming CDC director says another 100,000 could die in the next month.
It is what it is.
It's going to fade away.
We're in very good shape.
And on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your response to this crisis?
I'd rate it a 10. I think we've done a great job.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
Stop with the questions! Celebrate! How you like that, boy?
Combination. Waldorf Nation, everybody. Welcome to the show. It's Thursday. We got a show today. It's a pretty good one, too. We got Michael Flynn versus Salad. Fun times. We got Lauren Boebert, of course. More information about stuff that she might have been doing with, well, not might, that she was actually doing with other people's money. Fun times, as always. More corruption. Hey, look at that. We got Marjorie Taylor Greene gets dunked on Twitter over her most ridiculous address to Congress yet. Yeah, it's pretty bad. We got a MAGA rioter and a new defense that he's using. And then we have the special envoy of Haiti in the Biden administration who has resigned. That's big news as well on the crisis going on when it comes to Haiti, as well as in the border, or on the border. So I'm going to talk about that. This is some pretty important stuff as well. So I didn't want to miss that entire thing. And so let's do it. We got a good show. Please like and share the stream if you haven't already. And super chats, of course. I love to read those and your comments during the show as well. I appreciate that when you send that. Hey, that's part of what allows me to continue doing the show with your support. That said, thank you, TabSap, for resubbing for a month with Prime. I appreciate that. 5 months, that's awesome. Again, helps the show. All right. That said, let's do it. We got vaccinated salads. Let me just, before I get into this, I never thought that when I started doing news and politics that I would be talking about vaccinated salad dressing. I mean, did you ever think? No, of course not. Insanity. Well, yeah. Not the salad story. Oh, absolutely the salad story. Salad eaters beware. Michael Flynn has a warning. Avoid the salad dressing. The former Trump national security advisor has a new conspiracy that is the deep state is going to vaccinate your salad dressing. Take a look.
Somebody sent me a thing this morning where they're talking about putting the vaccine into salad dressing or salads. Have you seen this?
Yes.
Have you seen this? I mean, I'm thinking to myself, this is the bizarro world, right? This is definitely the bizarro world. So there's the seriousness of what this professional realized he was doing wrong, and he's now, he's found a new way. And then there's just the laughability on the other extreme that these people are seriously thinking about how to impose their will on us in our society, and it's
take away your freedom of choice.
Oh, okay. The deep state. Did you see this thing? The deep state's gonna dump vaccines into your salad dressing, and then you're gonna eat it. And you're gonna vaccines, and your balls are gonna swell up like the size of basketballs. It's gonna be terrible. What? What? No, that's not how that works. That's not how any of this works. The current COVID-19 vaccine can't be injected into dressing. It's not supposed to be taken orally. Again, this may be one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. And trust me, I've heard a lot of dumb things in my very short career in politics. I mean, who would have thought that we'd be talking about salad dressing filled with COVID vaccines? Insane. And by the way, if that were true, if they could put it in food, into the food supply, and allow you to take it orally, why wouldn't they just dump it into the water supply? Honestly, that would be the most efficient way to get a vaccine to the public. The reason they haven't done that yet is because you can't literally do that. Besides, some people don't even eat salad like myself, and it shows. But if you wanted to do that, wouldn't that make sense? Wouldn't that be the best avenue? That's why that's why these conspiracies are so ridiculous and so easy to pick apart, because it takes 2 seconds, literally 2 seconds, 2 brain cells to rub together and do a little bit of critical thinking to say, wait a minute, that doesn't make any goddamn sense whatsoever. Apparently, critical thinking is something that none of those people in that video, Michael Flynn included, have any shred of. Their brain is gone. There's eaten by worms, which, by the way, would explain all the ivermectin being used by the members of the right instead of the COVID vaccine. But it doesn't make any sense. But now here's the thing, right? Now, as I've told you, as I pointed out in previous shows, when I discuss some of these different conspiracy theories on the right wing, inside of every conspiracy happens to be a kernel of truth. You're going to love this one. So now, the folks over at Snopes, there's been some trouble over at Snopes, okay? And I'm just going to point that out, right? For transparency purposes. That said, they looked at this and they found this. They said, quote, the COVID-19 vaccine is not being put into salad dressing, which again is the most ridiculous claim I've ever seen. Nor has anyone proposed such a thing. However, similar mRNA vaccines, they say, could be grown in edible plants like lettuce, and that is something that is being actively researched. Interesting. So now, a few days before Flynn made the comment, the University of California, Riverside published a public news release. So this was in the public sphere, okay, about a research program that is attempting to turn edible plants like lettuce into mRNA vaccine factories. Oh, so that's cool. UCR said that the National Science Foundation had provided a $500,000 grant to pursue this kind of research. An article from UCR reads, the future of vaccines may look more like eating a salad than getting shot in the arm. UC Riverside scientists are studying whether they can turn edible plants into lettuce, like lettuce, into mRNA vaccine factories. Messenger RNA, or mRNA technology, used in COVID-19 vaccines works by teaching our cells to recognize and protect us against infectious diseases. Fascinating. So now, let's just sit back for a second here and talk about that. Let us marvel at science and what they can actually do with science. You're saying that we might actually be able to turn plants into mRNA vaccine factories in the future to protect us against diseases. But you know what that means? First of all, no injection. That would be great. There's a lot of people who are significantly afraid of needles. Okay? That would help out. It would be pretty easy to do. And it would also mean there would be less shortages. Right now, and think about how big of an impact that would be right now if they actually get that technology working. The COVID-19 vaccines, the patents for them, are held by just a very few big corporations. There is not enough for the rest of the world. So right now, you have people that are in the global south, India, Africa, they're dying because they don't have enough of the COVID-19 vaccine. Because here in the West, we have it. If you are able to grow plants that have, protections built into them against diseases, that would be an absolute game changer. It would not just change it on COVID-19, but on any future outbreak of any disease that we currently have the technology to develop using mRNA technology. That's amazing. Just think about this. Amazing. Now, the article continues. The project's goal, made possible by that $500,000 grant from the National Science Foundation, are threefold, showing that DNA containing the mRNA vaccines can be successfully delivered into the part of the plant cells where it will replicate, demonstrating the plants can produce enough mRNA to rival a traditional shot, and finally determining the right dosage. One of the problems with the current COVID-19 vaccines and similar mRNA vaccines is that they need to be stored at cold temperatures. If this program is successful, these new vaccine-making vegetables could allow mRNA vaccines to be stored at room temperature. One of the challenges with the new technology is that it must be kept cold to maintain stability during transport and storage. If this new project is successful, plant-based mRNA vaccines, which can be eaten, could overcome this challenge with the ability to be stored at room temperature. Again, understand how monumental that leap in technology would be. Wow. I mean, how many lives could this actually save if we actually had this technology and it was proven to work and mass-produced? I mean, I've heard enough stories of vaccines that go bad because they're not properly refrigerated or, it just expired. They haven't been tossed out. Not enough people have been taking them. And so, that is an absolute game changer. More information. Juan Pablo Giraldo, an associate professor at UCR's Department of Botany and Plant Scientists, said that a single plant would produce enough mRNA to vaccinate a single person. That program is currently focused on spinach and lettuce. He said that the goal is for these plants to be grown both in individual gardens and in large farm fields. So, grow your own vaccine plant. Fascinating. Now, this technology, of course, is nowhere near ready for use. So it's basically in its very beginning stages and honestly, it might not even work out in the end. We don't know. But if it does, I mean, this would make vaccines that much more accessible to the public. This is far from being a bad idea. This is a fantastic idea. I never would have thought of that. Never would have thought of that. Now, that said, this is a far cry from the nefarious deep state sticking vaccine in your dressing. And if it were the deep state, going back to the whole how easy it is to debunk nonsense conspiracies, if it were the deep state plan, why would they announce it? Why would this be public? I mean, understand though, this is how conspiracies work. They would take something that is public knowledge in a medical journal, right? And look at that and say, aha! I found the truth. You sheep couldn't find it. Look at this plot. Vaccine vegetables. Look, they're going to control us. They're going to run our lives with salad. Nuts. Total insanity. No, this is an amazing possibility. An amazing science that could save, as I said, millions of lives. 4 million people have died from, COVID-19 all across the world. Imagine having the technology, the ability to mass produce safely in vaccines and things that people all over the world eat. Science is amazing. And these people are like, no, deep state, horrible. But that's what you understand. That's what you get with QAnon conspiracy brain, which all these people have. You don't make friends with salad. That's what I heard. I don't think salads would be the food stuff I'd lace for America. No offense. Hey, good. None taken. None taken. Again, I'm not a salad eater either. So I hear you. Okay. Why can't you get behind the plan? I'm kind of curious. Why be anti-science? It's better than what we have going on, and that's for sure. Because right now we have a shortage of vaccine. Well, no, I'm sorry. We don't have a shortage of vaccine. Not in the United States, but there's a global shortage of it. So I don't understand why we're not going to make it better and easier for people to get life-saving medication. You might reach some of them with pasta or potato salad. Maybe. We should market vaccine. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. I'm not anti-science. I'm anti-veggie. Fair. Okay. Mayovax. Oh, geez. Y'all, too much. I'm not about being anti-science. I'm just not into people doing weird stuff to my food. But you understand, like, weird stuff has been happening to our food for centuries. We have been genetically engineering plants ever since the beginning of agriculture. Just look into the history. Like, you understand that we've always been crossbreeding and doing weird stuff to our food, make bigger yields. I mean, that's part of what science is, and I understand that it can be kind of scary, but the truth is we've been eating frankenfoods for all of our lives. And when it comes to things like vegetables, you have to look into that stuff, and you have to see the kinds of different genetic, experimentation we have been doing on vegetables, plants and vegetables and things like that for a very, very long time. There's quite a history of this that we have. And look, I understand trepidation about it if you don't know much about it. That's why you need to look into it, do a little bit of research, talk about how, GMOs, we've had GMOs forever. The only issue that I have really with GMOs right now is trying to patent seeds with these big corporations that are trying to do, to punish people who are trying to grow their own food. That would be a gigantic issue with me. All right. I just figured I would go into that a little bit. Like what we have to be, like what we have to do is, like, we can be wary of companies and corporations for monetary, monetary gains and advantages. But we also, though, while we're doing that, we have to respect that there is science involved, and that we should be able to trust the science, even if we are wary of the motives. Like we can't be so, anti whatever corporation that we become anti-science and dive into conspiracies. Again, if you've ever eaten something at the store, it's genetically modified. Very, very likely. Very likely. Food modification is a big topic. There's lots of nuance. There's way more nuance than I can get into right now. It would take a lot. GMOs are not the same as naturally crossbred. No, it's the same thing. It's literal genetic modification. You're taking, you are taking genes from other plants and crossing them with other plants in order to get traits. It is the same thing. I'm sorry, but like, no, that's not true. That's not true at all. Anyway, I'm not going to get too caught up in this GMO discussion. I'm just going to say that there is an anti-science bent on some of the left that I feel like needs to be addressed and debunked. No, it is not the same thing. They put genes from animals into plants. GMO is an umbrella term. Wild bananas are inedible. So is again, I don't want to get into this too much. Crossbreeding modification can be done in a lab or on a farm. This is incredibly technical. My husband's degree is in plant and environmental soil sciences. Again, there's a lot of nuance here that I cannot, I don't really want to get into. Representative Lauren Boebert's money troubles continue. Not the fact that she's out of money. No. The fact that she's been spending other people's money on herself. Now, she admitted it through campaign disclosures. The Denver Post reported on Wednesday, citing Federal Election Commission filings. Filings submitted to the FEC on Tuesday also indicate that Boebert reimbursed her campaign for a total of $665,000 worth of payments. Additionally, according to the outlet, each of the 4 payments in question, 2 for $2,000 each and another 2 for $1,325 each, were amended to show payments for the same amount, description, and on the same days to somebody named John Pacheco, whose address is the same as Shooter's Grill and Rifle, in which Boebert owns. Pacheco's relationship to Boebert was not immediately clear. The latest discrepancy appeared in the July campaign finance report for the committee of Lauren Boebert for Congress. Payments to Venmo were described as personal expense of Lauren Boebert, billed the campaign account in error. Expense has been reimbursed. Let me just say that it was reimbursed because she was caught. Remember, this is the expense report that she had waited a year to turn in. She waited a year, literally. Now, the next month, FEC officials asked the campaign for clarification on said error. Boebert spokesman Jake Settle told Forbes that he would describe the payment as quote-unquote personal expenses. If the payments were personal use of campaign funds, the commission may consider taking further legal action, said FEC senior campaign finance analyst Sharon Ringgold. That was back in August in a letter to Boebert's campaign. However, prompt action to obtain reimbursement of the funds in question will be taken into consideration. Now, let me just say this. The FEC ain't going to do anything. Okay. Now, Boebert's supplemental report filed Tuesday reiterated the expenses had been reimbursed and will be reported on the campaign's next disclosure, which is due in October. And now, of course, the FEC says, well, we are considering punitive action against Boebert, but as I told you before, that's probably not going to happen. Why? It's because the FEC is broken. The FEC is fundamentally broken. Now, let me explain why. So the idea behind the FEC is you get 6 people. You get 6 you get 6 commissioners total, 3 Democrats, 3 Republicans, but you need 4 votes to do anything. And so the thinking behind that was, well, we get Democrats or Republicans, you get an even number, but you require those 4 votes. You're going to have some bipartisanship. voila, right? Bipartisanship. We're all working together to do the law because we're all against that, people screwing over the election financing system, right? Right? No. What they ended up getting was nonpartisanship. Nothing. Nothing. And Ellen Weintraub, who is a Democratic commissioner, explains it by saying that her Republican colleagues share a certain philosophical approach to their work. That philosophical approach is that the FEC shouldn't exist. Just get rid of it, they say. Well, you can look at cases that involve allegations against Democrats. You can look at cases. You can look at allegations against Republicans, and regardless of who's being complained about, it's always the Democrats who are trying to enforce the law, and the Republicans who are trying to block enforcement of the law. Republicans believe that there should be very few, if any, limits on money in politics. Democrats believe that excessive funds in politics have the potential to corrupt the system, and that some kind of reasonable regulation is necessary. So let me just pick apart that real quick. While it is true that Republicans say, no, we don't want any rules on money in politics, we want to be awash with money in politics. Some of the same could be said for the Democrats as well, who only propose some very modest, very milquetoasty kind of reforms. And so, look, that is, again, a terrible read of the situation. In reality, all private money in elections is corrupting. And that's it. It doesn't have the potential to corrupt the system. It does corrupt the system. The system is fully corrupt. That is the problem here. That is the problem. Now, a good example here is Senator Kyrsten Sinema, who is a Democrat. Now, Kyrsten Sinema is opposed to Joe Biden's infrastructure plan, and especially the part that would allow Medicare to negotiate drug prices with the pharmaceutical company, right? So now it turns out that she has received more than $75,000, $750,000 in legal bribes from the pharmaceutical and medical device industries. Oh, would you look at that? Well, that would have seemed to be the appearance of corruption, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? Come on. It absolutely is corrupt. You cannot fix that with reasonable regulation. Like this, like, for example, the Democrats are like, oh, well, boy, all this money in politics, we should disclose to donors. And how's that going to fix the system? Sure, now you know, look, we already pretty much know who owns who anyway. And so, yes, if politicians had to wear a suit, that has a patch for every donor, every large corporate donor, all right, that's not going to actually fix the system, though. Sure, we can see who owns them, but they're still being owned. And they're still doing things that benefit their donors and that don't benefit us. So all that does is just say, oh, look, you already knew that your congressperson is corrupt. Well, here's proof. Here's something that you already know. Oh, I'm sorry, like that doesn't really do it for me. You see, I don't want to just know that my congressman is corrupt. I want to actually stop congressmen from becoming corrupt, from being corrupted. And that's the issue here. I'm sorry, but reasonable regulation, no, that's unreasonable because right now the system is unreasonable. The fact that ExxonMobil can go out and purchase our congressman, and then rig the rules against doing anything about climate change, which affects all of us. I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not comfortable with that at all. So you can't fix that. No, the only way to get rid of that is to get rid of the money in politics. You have to publicly finance elections. And that's it. Because anything else, if you do anything else, you're still going to have the politicians that are tainted by this money. And the system will continue to be corrupted. All of this, like I said, is related. Now, Lauren Boebert was literally caught paying her rent and utilities from her donor money. And her donors are fossil fuel companies. And so not only are her donors fossil fuel companies, by the way, she has a personal incentive to support fossil fuels because her husband is a consultant for a Colorado energy company. Previous disclosures show that Jason Boebert has received about $478,000 from Terra Energy Productions last year for consultant services and $460,000 from the same firm in 2019, except it's not, Terra Energy Productions. I think it's Terra Energy Partners. Nonetheless, you get what I'm seeing, right? That she is being paid, and guess what? Oh, turns out fossil fuel companies are giving her money, and she's representing the fossil fuel companies. Who knew? Who could have seen that one coming? Oh, right, everybody. Everybody is paying attention. That same form also revealed that Boebert's restaurant, Shooter's Grill, had actually lost money, $143,000 in 2019 and $226,000 in 2020. With that loss of income, massive loss of income, of course she's going to rely on her husband's income and, oh, golly gee, come out against regulations like reducing methane, which happens to be something, the methane rule that is in the in the $3.5 trillion reconciliation bill, a rule that would have limited methane emissions. That's specifically one of the things that she targeted to take out. And her company is actually one of the highest, basically producers of methane emissions in the state of Colorado. It is directly related. It is the corruption. And she gets the money from these donors and it uses to pay her bills. Her personal bills. No wonder she's against infrastructure that deals with climate change. Come on. It is all connected. All you have to do is follow the money. And again, this is not just about Boebert and cinema. Those are just two examples of very, very many. All right? I mean, you look at the pharmaceutical companies, they pretty much bought off both sides. Not just Kirsten Sinema. I mean, they spend millions and millions of dollars lobbying our politicians, and that's why we pay more than the rest of the entire world when it comes to our prescription drugs. Why we pay the highest amount for insurance, for health insurance, than anyone else in the world. It's the corruption. It's the corruption. It is that system that prioritizes greed over the public good. Neither of these incredibly corrupt people are going to, in any way, get significantly punished. And that is a failure and a result of this system that we have right now. This system is broken. No, not broken. It's working as intended. Why? Because you had people, corporations, and corrupt politicians that have rigged the rules against us and in their favor. That's what's going on. It is right in our faces. Now, can we do something about it? Well, I mean, that's the question, right? I think we can. Now, understand, and I'm going to be 100% honest with you, this is not an easy task. This is not something, unfucking our system from private corporate influence is not going to be an easy thing. It will not be a quick thing, right? There is no easy fix here. There's something that's a lot of work. Remember, it took decades to set up this system. It could take that or longer for us to tear it down. Now, I think electoralism plays a small part in this. Again, getting in progressives who don't take corporate donations, believe in getting the money out, and actually putting pressure on them to actually try to do that. Now, the other thing, of course, is pressure from the outside. Direct action, protests, legal challenges to some of these rulings that have allowed the flow of money in politics. And there are groups that are working on getting the states to call for a constitutional convention in order to propose an amendment to get money out of politics. Other than that, I don't see any, other than those avenues, I don't see a lot of, other ways in order to do that. But those are some pretty solid ways to do that don't involve violence. And I'm not going to lie, again, incredibly difficult, time-consuming things to do, but I think it can be done. And when successful, we will get our country back from the donor class and big corporations, and we can do so without violence. And that's, to me, that's the goal. No, I disagree. Violence is not a solution. It's never a solution. Especially against an incredibly heavily militarized state? No. No way. Heavily militarized police state. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. I disagree wholeheartedly on that. 100%. So let's go and talk about Marjorie Taylor. Marjorie Taylor Greene is desperately trying to prevent the Green New Deal, which has, by the way, is only a framework and zero chance of actually passing. It's not even in the reconciliation bill. And again, it's just a policy framework. Nonetheless, Marjorie Taylor Greene is going around and she's saying, oh my God, they're trying to slip in the Green New Deal into the $3.5 trillion reconciliation package. No, they're not. But she has decided to try to get a little help from Scooby and the gang to prove her point that this is communism. Take a look.
So we'll go ahead and address what these policies are that are so shocking to me. And if the American people actually knew what these policies are, these globalist America Last policies are, I believe they would be ringing every single phone up here, probably demanding that Congress go home, because America is only safe when Congress is out of session. But unfortunately, Congress is in session, so let's tell the truth about what's happening. You see, this is a simple meme that you would find on the internet, but this meme is very real. The Green New Deal, surprise, serves China and China only. You can go ahead and put number 1 up. So today, talking about the Green New Deal and the all-out war on the men and women who built this country, which is definitely happening every single day here in Congress, Democrats want to turn the lights out on America. They want to shut down our economy. They want to end our energy independence and surrender America, putting us on our knees to China.
On your knees to China. Yeah. I don't know, some people might be into that. China. I'm sorry, but again with that language, I can't believe they're shoving a Green New Deal down our throat. Oh, we're gonna be on our knees to China. Yeah. Like, is there some weird domination fantasies going on here? I don't know. I'm not hating on that. I'm just saying, like, you might want to keep it somewhere else. Like the kink, you know what I'm saying? Not the shame. Again, you can do whatever you want. Just why are you bringing it to Congress? Super weird. Just saying. But okay, you understand, Jeff, it's a simple meme. Yes, and it's completely wrong. In case it wasn't clear enough for her extremely uneducated followers, she had to put a hammer and sickle on China's flag, which China's flag does not have any of that. So now, how does the Green New Deal, which again is a framework which would help create new domestic American jobs, help China? How does it help China? At all. How does it make us dependent on China for our energy and keep us energy and not doing the Green New Deal? How does that keep us energy independent when we get a lot of our energy from the global oil markets. None of that makes any sense. It doesn't. I mean, here's the thing. I'm not even sure how much oil we get from China. Now, they happen to do a lot of coal mining there. Okay. So now you might think, but Jeff, you understand they're manufacturing solar panels there in China. And that's the whole thing. We're importing solar panels from China. Okay, well, let's make solar panels here then. There's nothing stopping us from actually being able to, make manufacturing plants and subsidizing solar plants, which will then hire people to do the jobs to create the solar and the wind farms and things like that. Come on. Like, you can do that. Now, the reason that we haven't invested in solar and created those plants with those incentives is because America is really bought off by fossil fuel interests. That's why we still give billions of dollars to the oil industry in subsidies that they don't actually need. And so our policy positions, understand, in this country are reflective of the short-term profits for the oil industry. And so in doing so, and doubling down on oil and gas like we did under Trump, and of course did as well under Obama, to be fair, and still under Biden, I mean, we literally gave up the production of solar panels to China. Now, the Green New Deal, as I said, invests in manufacturing for solar panels, as well as wind turbines and in other energy sources that are not dirty, like coal, oil, and natural gas. And not only that, by the way, but when you have that, you produce more energy domestically at home, instead of relying on places like Saudi Arabia and places with oil and coal in order to, as well as natural gas, and shipping it here. So I'm just saying. But look, if you're watching this, you already know all that, okay? You already know that Marjorie Taylor Greene is 100% full of crap. Either that, or maybe you're hate watching, which, great, thanks. Appreciate the view. You are contributing to my view counts. You're actually helping the algorithm. So please make sure to share it with your derpy friends and leave comments that will only help me in the algorithm. You cannot stop me. Your views will only help me. So keep going. Hear you. Feed my algorithm. Yes. Seriously though, look, she's probably the worst person in Congress, Marjorie Taylor Greene. She thinks corporate communism is an actual thing and explains it using an example of capitalism. And she does all this without any sense of irony. So big surprise that she decides to use memes shared all over right-wing media, of course, in Congress, instead of actually doing her job, because she doesn't really have a job. She just goes around and talks shit. So that said, she got roasted with hilarious memes, and I want to show some of them to you because I think they're funny. Take a look. If you've been a victim of Jewish space lasers. So good. That's so good. There's more. Remember that infamous picture? That's a real picture, by the way. That's not Photoshopped. I mean, it's Photoshopped in, but that is not Photoshopped. All right. More. Nice. Very, very nice. That's probably the best one right there. Oh, I love it. Couple more here. Aha! Let's see what this really is. Nice. And finally, with no legislative power, all I can do is tweet, troll, scam, and lie, and make stupid signs. Well done. Well done, Internet. As usual, doing the Lord's work. Gotta love the memes. Oh my God, the Reagan riding the Velociraptor. I almost forgot about that. Oh, it's fantastic. All right. So let's go to the end of the story. You know, technically, it is. You know, the same. All right. Now, there have been a lot of excuses for MAGA rioters breaking into the Capitol on January 6th. There was the accidental tourist, the art connoisseur, the muffin protector, the muffin man, the guy who had no idea he was actually in the Capitol, and so on. Now, one of the attackers during his trial also had a nice little excuse. He said, oh, no, well, I was actually there looking for Antifa. Alleged MAGA writer Mick Chan had told the court this week during his trial that he had called the FBI because he believed the Trump rally was infiltrated and the breach of the Capitol was carried out by members of Antifa and Black Lives Matter, which would be very, very interesting because considering how there's actually no evidence of that, plus no BLM or Antifa protesters have been arrested or even indicted, so no evidence at all. Sorry, this is your boy. According to Law and Crime, those who have bragged about participating in the insurrection and posted on their social media channels appear to have been avid supporters of Donald Trump. According to many of the case file documents provided by the Justice Department and the FBI, however, Chan believed no, it was Antifa and BLM counter-protesters that had dressed up as Trump supporters. Oh, yes. Wait, no, okay, so that would mean that nobody showed up to the Trump rally. So really, the Trump rally was just full of BLM and Antifa. Again, over 500, I believe the number is 600 now, people have been arrested and charged in relation to the January 6th rally. Are you saying they're all Antifa and BLM? Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But no. Here's his evidence. He said that there were people with camouflage backpacks who looked like members of the Oath Keepers, but did not have the insignia. Aha! Imposter! You were very, very sus. Now, I will flush you out the airlock. That was it, huh? Non-insignia backpacks. I tell you what, there's some super sleuthing abilities here that are on display. And totally worth trespassing in a federal building in order to follow up on. Oh, yes, they're doing that great investigative reporting right there. Well done. Now, Chan told the FBI that he broke into, and I love this, he said, and made sure to do air quote, broke into the Capitol. The case files explain. Chan clarified that others had already forcefully breached the Capitol before he entered. Chan saw that the camera was inside the doorway, which led to a staircase. Chan noticed that about 8 to 10 police officers were at the doorway, attempting to lock it down. He claimed he left the area after a rioter attempted to rally others to break through the line of officers because he did not want to take part in any confrontation. Chan walked around the rotunda for about 15 minutes, taking pictures. Okay. Chan saw that people affected by tear gas and a line of police officers, and he had heard some rioters say that they had come from the Senate, where there were police officers with guns. Chan estimated that he was inside the Capitol for about 30 minutes until being forced to leave. Most of the rioters were compliant with police officers' directions, but some had pushed and yelled obscenities. Now, by the way, this is also the same Capitol insurrection where Ashley Babbitt was shot, trying to crawl through a window or door, or I should say to get through a door. And the same one where they were chanting, "Hang Mike Pence." They were trying to find AOC. They're trying to find Nancy Pelosi. And I'm convinced that if they had gotten their hands on any of those politicians, bad things probably would have happened. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. And so, nonetheless, Chan said that he had not witnessed any violence, but did hear rioters say things like, quote, "We back the blue, but next time we're coming with guns." Yes, that definitely sounds like BLM and Antifa. I mean, we totally back the blue. I mean, they're definitely known, those two groups, very well known for being avid back the blue supporters. Ah, yes, absolutely. No, come on. Chan ultimately told the FBI that because he didn't see any BLM or Antifa protesters, that they must be in disguise. Yes, Antifa in disguise. Come on, nobody believes this. Nobody believes this. I mean, only insane people who've been propagandized. This was Trump supporters 100%. Even the guy that was confused, especially the guy that was confused about where he was. Oh, I thought I was in the White House. Yeah, I didn't know where I was. I mean, I was here, but I thought it was the White House. I thought I was gonna, to sit right next to Donald Trump and, pop open a Diet Coke and have some, some hamburgers and maybe some KFC, and we're gonna watch that whole thing go down. But apparently, I was in the Capitol building. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't do anything wrong. What are you talking about? Come on. And by the way, as I said, are these people dumb enough? Are you saying that these people are dumb enough, that you were dumb enough to follow Antifa into the Capitol building, knowing that it was trespassing? And this is as dumb as saying that the FBI also planned this, which they did not. All they have are nonsense conspiracies. And look, bottom line, of course, if you enter the Capitol building without permission, that is considered to be trespassing. It is. Bottom line. Whether or not you did violence, you were there in a place where you weren't supposed to be in. And by the way, it was at a time where they were doing a certification of an election. That is not, the timing is not a coincidence here. It's not a coincidence at all. They were doing that to try to disrupt an official proceeding. And that's why a lot of these people are being charged who didn't even participate in violence, are being charged with trespassing and disrupting an official proceeding, which are serious crimes. And so that is going to have consequences, no matter what. So sorry, but you know what? You did the crime. You fucked around, and now you're going to find out one way or the other. What was that? Okay. Fun times. So end up a bus into the building, but you chose to go in after. Why? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. If you were part of a crowd that robbed a bank, you too are a bank robber. Yeah, it's being an accessory. All right. Well, let's go to something serious. I know, sorry, but this is serious. Let's do it. I don't. That's okay. The Biden administration's special envoy to Haiti, Daniel Foote, has resigned in protest of the inhumane treatment and large-scale expulsions of Haitian migrants. So now, the island nation of Haiti is still reeling from earthquakes as well as political upheaval, and the political assassination attempt on, the political assassination of Jovenel Moise, as well as gang violence, and of course, years of international intervention into their government. So now, according to the Associated Press, Daniel Foote was appointed to the position back in July following the assassination of Moise, and even before the migrant expulsions from the small Texas border town of Del Rio, which had at one point seen 14,000 people camped out there, many under bridges in terrible conditions. The career diplomat was known to be deeply frustrated with what he considered a lack of urgency in Washington and a glacial pace of efforts to improve conditions in Haiti. That is not surprising. Let me just be honest. The United States is pretty awful when it comes to Haiti and other small island nations, nations that are, home to minorities. Our government, by the way, does not even care about Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico was literally part of the United States. The Puerto Ricans are American citizens, and still we don't care about them. It's horrible. And the reason, of course, is that they're brown. Now, Haitians are black. And, of course, as one of my friends who's Haitian, she kind of explained that there are the lighter-skinned Haitians that are at the upper crusts of society, and the darker-skinned Haitians who happen to be the ones that are poor. And so understand that there is that social stratification in that country as well. But here in America, we see somebody that's black, the government does, and says, oh, hell no. No, hell no. So, of course, the government here does absolutely the bare minimum to actually help those nations. Now, in this case, the bare minimum would be allowing people from that country to seek asylum. Foote wrote that Secretary of State Anthony Blinken said that, okay, so Foote had written Secretary of State Anthony Blinken and said that he was stepping down immediately with, quote, deep disappointment and apologies to those seeking crucial changes. Quote, I will not be associated with the United States' inhumane, counterproductive decision to deport thousands of Haitian refugees and legal immigrants to Haiti, a country where American officials are confined to secure compounds because of the danger posed by armed gangs to daily life. There's, of course, one of the major armed gangs is run by a guy named Jimmy Barbecue. And so I don't really want to know how he got that name. I can't imagine it would be good at all. And so that's one of the gang leaders. And there are, again, numerous gangs there that are vying for control. It really is a pretty dangerous place. So now he wrote that our policy approach to Haiti remains deeply flawed, and my policy recommendations have been ignored and dismissed when not edited to project a narrative very different from my own. He also noted, very importantly, that the United States continues to and should stop interfering in the political process in Haiti by, of course, backing other corrupt regimes. He said this, quote, what our Haitian friends really want and need is the opportunity to chart their own course without international puppeteering and favored candidates, but with genuine support for that course. I do not believe that Haiti can enjoy stability until her citizens have the dignity of truly choosing their own leaders fairly and acceptably. Last week, the U.S. and other embassies in Port-au-Prince issued another public statement of support for the unelected de facto Prime Minister, Dr. Ariel Henry. The hubris that makes us believe we should pick the winner, again, is impressive. This cycle of international political interventions in Haiti has consistently produced catastrophic results. This is a former, official special envoy in the Biden administration. That is incredibly strong. Incredibly strong. And a very correct statement as well. And I think he deserves a lot of credit for calling out this administration very publicly, in a public way. Because guess what? It is getting attention. And that's the whole point. His policy positions were being ignored by this administration. And this, again, and unfortunately, you're not going to see much of this on mainstream media, or at least much of the reason that he is resigning in the first place. What you're going to end up seeing is a defense to the Biden administration saying, oh, what are you doing? What are you talking about? We're doing the best that we can do. Oh, no, of course, he is just a quitter. And that's it. I can't believe that he would just duck out in the middle of the job. Oh, wow. No, that's not the issue. So now the State Department, as I mentioned, released a response. Here's what he said. This is Ned Price, who's the spokesman for the State Department. Quote, this is a challenging moment that requires leadership. It is unfortunate that instead of participating in a solutions-oriented policy process, Special Envoy Foote has both resigned and mischaracterized the circumstances of his resignation. He added that the role of the president's advisors is to provide him with the best possible advice. No ideas are ignored, but not all ideas are good ideas. So, look, I think you've all seen by now the image of the mounted ICE officers essentially whipping or using their lassos and horses to corral Haitian migrants. Do you think that's a good government response to the Haitian migrant crisis? Do you believe that? Does that look like a good idea? Can you look at that photo and think, nailed it, we got it, oh, we're doing great? No, it looked like a colorized picture of pre-Civil War in the United States. But they weren't using whips. They were just using lassos. It's different. Whips, lassos, doesn't really matter. The intention is, of course, the same, to intimidate people, which the administration, by the way, is sending back in record time. They're not even allowing these people enough time to plead their case for asylum. Seeking asylum, of course, is 100% legal in this country. It's your right under international law. And Biden administration is breaking that law. Just like when they continued using Trump's Title 42 deportation law. Now, Representative Barbara Lee pulled that out and said that we should halt deportations of Haitian migrants, being, of course, on the right side of history. Kind of Barbara Lee's thing, which I love. She said, we know the administration heard us, and in fact, they understand these issues very well. Well, then what's the problem? What's the problem with the Biden administration? Oh, right, of course, racism. And not just in the Biden administration, but every administration when you're dealing with people from Haiti or just black migrants in general. They are being mistreated. And again, I talk about how migrants from Central America are being mistreated. But black migrants actually get treated worse. The only difference here is you have an example of Haitians versus Cubans, right? So now, Cubans, brown, okay. Now, in Miami, Haitian Americans are saying that they feel especially marginalized compared to Cuban Americans, who for generations have actually had a faster path to American residency. Haitian Americans say that disparate treatment has allowed Cuban Americans in South Florida to more quickly accumulate wealth and political power. In the 70s and 80s, there were both Cubans and Haitians arriving in Florida at the same time by boat, and they were both treated very differently, said Muzaffar Chisti, director of the Migration Policy Institute's office at New York University School of Law. Haitians were denied asylum, while Cubans were granted green cards. The fact Cubans were not black made it stark. True. Now, here's another point on that, a political point. Cubans happen to be, I think, as we know, at least Cubans in South Florida, more likely to vote for Republicans. I mean, the Republican, Cuban vote in Florida for Republicans is actually incredibly high. Now, there's a belief that Haitians are more likely to vote for Democrats. And so that might have something to do with allowing more Cubans into Florida than Haitians. And yet, what's interesting here is we're seeing a Democratic administration acting no different than a Republican administration on this particular issue. That is very interesting. In fact, the Washington Post notes that under Biden, expulsion flights to Haiti had begun on Sunday, and there were 10 by the end of Tuesday, according to Haitian officials. U.S. officials say that they're ramping up to 7 flights a day, which would make it one of the swiftest large-scale expulsions from the U.S. in decades. The fastest. They can't get these people out there fast enough. Under a Democrat, by the way. Gross and racist. In fact, one top official said this about Foote's resignation. This is a Haitian official. He said, this is the first time we see a U.S. diplomat who has decided to go against the will of the U.S. government. This is Matthias Pierre, Haiti's election minister told the Associated Press. We salute that. Pierre also criticized Haiti's elite. Remember, as I mentioned, the lighter-skinned elite, saying that they have turned a blind eye because migration fuels the economy. He noted that 35% of Haiti's gross domestic product is remittances from the United States. The diaspora, much of it in the U.S., sending roughly $3.8 billion back to the island a year. Haitian Prime Minister Ariel Henry has barely discussed the explosions in public, saying that only his government is worried about conditions that migrants face on the U.S. border and that it will help those sent back to Haiti. Pierre was far more critical of the U.S., saying, quote, while they're receiving thousands of Afghan people, they're rejecting Haitians while Haiti is in the middle of a crisis with the earthquake, a crisis with the assassination of the president, and a poverty crisis that is clearly one of the major issues why people are leaving. Damien Merlot, a Republican strategist who has worked for years on Haiti policy, now a registered lobbyist for that country's government, said this, quote, when someone who is tasked with Haiti policy at the highest level resigns because recommendations are ignored and dismissed, it's not only troubling, but shows you this administration does not tolerate anyone who won't go along with their distorted view of the facts. Dan Foote is a world-class diplomat who refused to be told what to do. I wish more Foreign Service officers had his courage to stand up and call out their bosses. 100%. Look, I don't agree with Republicans often. Let's be fair about that, especially lobbyists. I know, right? But in this case, he's right. Biden's Haiti policy is incredibly problematic, and I would say also racist and imperialist as well. We're over there choosing, basically, using our influence to try to choose leaders for the Haitian people. And we've been doing that for a very, very long time. And we're not even letting people have a chance to gain asylum in this country, which is their right by law. What we need to do is to have people actually have their chance to request asylum. And not only that, but to help Haiti recover while also staying out of their internal policy matters. Staying out of their elections. We make a big deal here about, oh my God, people are trying to influence and interfere in our elections. I mean, that was a whole big deal. First, Democrats, with Russia, and now Republicans, oh, China, China, China. Meanwhile, we are literally interfering in Haiti, in their political processes, and supporting corrupt leaders. Total hypocrisy. Total hypocrisy. You say you believe in democracy. Well, if you do actually believe that, then why not actually let them have democracy? And if you don't, well, you're a hypocrite. And your words mean absolutely nothing. Your choice. Right. American hypocrisy at its finest. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. Haiti was a sugarcane crop plantation system, I think. I believe you're right. Yeah. I believe you're correct on that. Definitely something that the United States and corporations, by the way, couldn't help but try to exploit. So. All right. Let me set up here a raid. To raid into another channel here. Actually, we're going to raid into Ravana's show over at TYT. She's doing her segment. So for those of you who don't know, she's doing a segment called Fake News. I was on that. I was actually on the first one. And what it is that she reads off headlines, and you have to guess whether or not they're fake or true. Just a fun little game show kind of thing, where there's topics like Florida man, phrasing, and it's really, really fun and really entertaining. And I think after that disastrous news that we have had today, with what's going on in Haiti, it might be a little bit of a fun diversion. So I'm gonna have our channel raid into that over here on Twitch. So we're gonna do that, and you know, hey, you want to watch that? Go to TYT's Twitch channel. I'm sure it's pretty easy to find. But again, it is fun, so I'm gonna check that out, and everybody give them a follow as well. All right. That said, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate the super chat here from Flonk Sauce Dragon. Big name. Dragon Squad has grown so far, so much. I love it. All right. Well, again, thank you all. Love you. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, nation. See y'all tomorrow.
I like my meat tight. Tighten up my meat.
Dumps. Big, massive dumps.
Mike Pounds.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Stop with the questions. Celebrate.
They're kicking me out the door. They're kicking me out the door.